Joining us this morning, Titania Jordan.
Tatiana Jordan. Did I get the name right? Jordan?
Titania.
Titania. Okay. All right.
It's Titania Jordan. So when I was 24, Nancy Joffrey was like, what do you want to do when you graduate? I'm like, I have no idea. She's like, you should work at Stern 94. So Rob Stearns needed a national sales promotions coordinator. Right. They didn't have a full-time role, so they got me in as an intern, you know, politics, sure. Corporate politics. But eventually I became his assistant, and that was amazing. And you know, Mark Hanoff, amazing man, I love you. You're great.
One of my closest friends.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Coming into that world as somebody who's lived in Atlanta since 1984 and seeing behind the scenes of the legacy of Steve and Vicky and Sports Radio 790 The Zone and everything that you and Salsa and the team did.
It was a great time to be in radio. It was like the wild, wild west. Everybody was like getting after it. Before satellite radio, before podcasts, before
social media,
before folks are listening to music on their iPhone in any capacity, right? So you have a city that nobody takes public transportation for the most part, right? Unlike Boston or DC or Chicago or New York or London or any big major city, which we were, but nobody is taking public transportation. So everybody's trapped in their cars. So you have the combination of the drive time is like never ending, right?
Long.
And everybody's in their cars. And this is back in the 90s and early 2000s, and radio, there's not enough radio stations to fit all the millions of people because Atlanta's radio signals were the same amount as Birmingham because they were the same size city.
Wow.
And then Delta comes in the 60s. Birmingham doesn't get it, Atlanta does. So there's only 26 radio stations in Atlanta, a city comparable as Miami who has like 46 stations.
Booming.
So these stations are killing it because everybody's listening to the radio, because everybody's in their cars, and there's just so much money in that industry. And Atlanta was the #1 radio industry in America because too many people, not enough stations, right?
Wow.
San Francisco has like 78 stations. Atlanta had like 22. So it was a great time to be in radio.
It was amazing, and I'm so thankful for so many things I learned in that career, whether it was copywriting, producing on the fly.
Right, sure. You get to, ideally, I tell young people, just get into a radio station and you can be doing anything. I mean, like,
so many jobs.
You can end up on the air all of a sudden. You can end up, running
Which I
promotions.
did.
Right.
Content is king.
Right.
Talk about that.
Well, I mean, listen, it used to be, I grew up in an era, aging myself, where like, I was obsessed with television, so I knew every show. There were 3 networks: NBC, ABC, and CBS.
Yep. I
knew every show every night of the week on every channel, right? I knew Happy Days was on 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, The Vernon Shirley at 8:30, $6 Million Man at 9 o'clock on Saturday nights, Love Boat's on, Fantasy Island's on at 10. I mean, every night of the week, I knew every, our era, that was, we were obsessed with just, watching television. And actually, I know this is scary. We'd actually get up and like change the channel.
Right? Like click, click, click,
Yes.
and adjust the rabbit ears in case there was static. Right. Like I'm there. I'm right there with you.
You're not there.
Well.
Anyway, you heard about it, maybe, right? Your parents
Let's not talk about
anyway,
my
so
age.
the bottom line is, so growing up in that, like television was the traditional medium, even cable television when that came, and it's just great, great storytelling. There's always an appetite for it. No pun intended. Atlanta Eats. And yes, we're super proud of Atlanta Eats, and we've got a huge following. We're on 7 days a week in television. So there's definitely an appetite for food and dining content, but the desire, the insatiable desire for people to tell great stories, whether it's about tech, whether it's about food, whether it's about travel, whether it's about, the most, narrowed down, right? how to build a patio, right? Or how to travel to Honduras, or a story of a family in, Chicago or Nicaragua, or interesting people. Like, there's just, because of, this, able to tell you stories.
Always at my side.
Right, at any time, always around the clock, right? You have a chance for storytelling to happen, and that's the big term we use all the time. There's so many great stories out there. So, listen, my biggest anxiety, right? I know this is a first-class problem, is with 3 little kids and 2 full-time jobs, how am I going to get through like 10% of my list of TV shows to watch, right? Here's my Hulu list, here's my Netflix list, here's my over-the-air television list, here's my, I mean, there's so much, not to mention just, you know, just the stuff floating out there on YouTube and everywhere else. It's everywhere. It's unbelievably compelling content, and it's really cluttered. So the companies that can find their way through the clutter, that can really resonate, that have influencers that young people want to hear from, or that whatever demographic, you know, if you create television, if you create content and you can get through, then you've really done something. Now you're winning.
That's the precise conundrum that keeps me up at night. My dear friend Steve Chamberlain likes to give this example of a glass globe. And just like you said, there were 3 networks, and then there were 10, and then cable television, and now there's 300, and then the internet. Right. And it's like that glass globe has shattered into a million little pieces, right. And those are all the places where people can go and consume content. Right. And so how do you stand out as a woman who makes a living at the intersection of technology and media, and content is king? Right. How do you stand out? How do you differentiate? Should you even bother to dip your toe in the water?
Well, of course you should dip your toe in the water, because there's a million success stories, right? Of somebody that started in their basement, right? Or somebody that just decided to do a podcast, or decided to get together with some friends and do something creative, or felt I have a voice, I have something to say, and I'm going to see if it finds an audience. And again, back to, will it find an audience, right? Now, you know, in the case of our company, you know, we didn't start, you know, we started well-funded, and we researched that food and dining was the hottest thing, and Food Network paved the way, and Atlanta was the #1 dining out city in America, so there's a lot of variables in our favor. You know, I'd been in media for 20 years, so it wasn't, you know, throwing a dart and hoping, right? So, but there's a million cases, if not a million, there's a lot of cases of somebody's compelling, somebody has a voice, somebody feels passionate about something, somebody is super knowledgeable, they present themselves in a compelling way, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's intimidating, but there's never been a better time, because, by the way, 30 years ago, you would be wasting your time. Right. Because you have no way for people to find you.
But now, all you need is a smartphone. You know, some of the content that goes viral, I'm like, that is the crappiest, grainiest piece of content ever.
Right, which is part of the charm of it.
Exactly.
We talk about it all the time. I mean, we have big, beautiful TVs and Food Network quality, but we're starting a digital series, which you are one of the featured performers, if you will, right?
Thank you.
Dishes.
Yeah.
So we're creating our own digital series about ladies, and about women, and about living in Atlanta, and about, of course, food and dining and going out, but much more than that if anybody gets to see the original episodes, which are going to be coming out. But, you know, how much do we want to have it on, like, big-time cameras and soundstage and studio? Like, part of that stuff, are you better with a little grainier? Are you better seeming more?
I know, it's like, how much do you invest? And it's funny, you struggle with that, but then you see the quality of the content that Atlanta Eats and Bread and Butter Productions puts out, and it is top notch. Director of photography.
Well, that mattered, yeah. I mean, for a TV show, right? So the reason our TV show has taken off, the reason our TV show started at a half an hour 5 years ago, and now it's at 7 hours a week, right?
Congrats, by the way. Congrats to the entire Atlanta Eats team. I love you so much, and I'm really, really stoked.
They do an amazing job. So, I mean, for television, you know that's what you needed for television, right? So, and in the case of Dishes, the digital series that you're shooting with us, you're piggybacking, like, we're at a shoot anyway, so we've got 2 or 3 cameras, we've got a sound guy, we've got editors, so it would make sense, hey, let's just invite to shoot on the back end. And how long did it take? A couple hours?
Yeah.
Right. So, but, you know, I think there's a ton of ways to get incredibly compelling content and not spend a lot of money. It's not my business model, right? So I don't want to sell against myself. And then there are brands that, you know, aren't looking for grainy, they're looking for spectacular
quality
food, quality shots.
Like the Ted's Montana Grill collaboration.
Well, you shot one of the best pieces. If you had a chance to watch Das Barbecue, you go to AtlantaEats.com and you go to our restaurant finder. So, you know, I send a lot of stuff out nationally because now we're a national company. Bread and Butter is our content company. And when people want to see what we do, we send out the feature. We did a 5-minute feature you did on a place called Das Barbecue, which is the epitome of storytelling, right?
Y'all have got to eat that beef brisket.
Right.
You have to eat it.
So it's funny because I don't notice anything catered today, right? You knew you were talking to Atlanta Eats and Bread and Butter.
Ouch.
Barely catered, barely.
Ouch.
Felt like I got like almost like an afterthought.
Ouch! I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I
And
wasn't.
we could have been eating something together.
Oh
Wouldn't that
my
have made it?
gosh!
Is that not good in the tech world? Like you gotta not have food
We don't
lying
eat
around?
in technology. We just drink coffee.
Oh,
So
and bourbon.
and bourbon.
Coffee and bourbon.
Coffee and bourbon.
So, anyway, the piece you did, Das Barbecue, and not just because you looked amazing in it and you did a great job, but there's a great story, right? It's a father and son. They were in the corporate world and they decided they want a barbecue place, and they studied it and they live it, and they got this place, and the kid's playing, right, the banjo at night, or what's he playing?
Guitar,
Guitar,
whatever.
something. He's playing a
It's
musical
awesome.
instrument.
They jam. It's great.
Right.
But
So that's a spectacular piece of content, right? If you want to know what a spectacular piece of content is, Das Barbecue, DAS, on AtlantaEats.com, with this young lady as the host. That's a great piece of content.
thank you so much,
Yes,
Steak Shapiro.
absolutely.
I'm very, very proud of that piece, and
And all your pieces, you do a great job.
thank you.
You're very connectable, right? You're very approachable.
It means the world to me that I get to do what I love. I love to literally connect with people
Right.
on camera. I love to tell people stories. I like to make people feel comfortable and happy and uplift them. And just like we were talking outside, is people can either suck your energy or give you energy.
Right.
I want to give energy. I want to
Positive.
just, like,
Well,
let's all just stand up and clap and sing. And I can't even sing, so that's where we
Right.
are.
Yeah. No, I don't want to have to clap and sing right now. I mean, I can't do. I would do that more privately, right? Like when I first wake up. And I wake up at 4 in the morning now, so I
Right.
do a little workout in the morning and a mind thing to get myself ready to take on the day. But there's two kinds of people in the world. There's people that decide that they're going to approach their day with positivity and energy and make people feel good, and then there are people that just are going to find reasons why life sucks, right?
Yeah.
And they did a study, Time Magazine did a piece about lottery winners, people that won millions of dollars, and the study showed that the folks that were happy and didn't have any money, after they won the lottery, they were really friggin' happy. I mean, they were really happy. The folks that were miserable and didn't have a lot of money before they won the lottery, they were basically, there was a happiness study. They were basically just as happy, or rather not happy, after they won the money. Didn't change who they were, right? So for the people that already had a positive look on life, it definitely made things a lot better and easier. For the other folks, it didn't really change how they look at their life.
That's really, it's sad. It's sad on a lot of levels, but thankfully through the content that we create, we can hopefully change those people's just minute or day.
Right.
Like take them out of their unhappy place, put them in a happy place.
Well, show them something that, listen, I am not going to sit here and tell you that, scrolling through Facebook at 11:10 p.m. when I know I should have gone to bed 20 minutes ago and watching dumb stuff that I know. But I mean, you get sucked in. There's so much great content, right? I mean, there's great content for people to put stuff up on Facebook. Like I'm watching some girl, I don't even know, figure skate up in, Billerica, Massachusetts, so I knew in high school, right? And I'm watching her daughter, and I was like, do I really need to be awake watching this, right? Is it worth that? Not to mention the incredible thousands of sites that are creating content professionally, right? The Funny or Dies of the world and the hundreds of others.
BuzzFeed and
Right.
Now This
comedy
and
sites and the
Tasty
info sites and right.
It's
So-
amazing. And speaking of social media, your Instagram following is off the chain. It is so engaging.
At Atlanta Eats.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Atlanta Eats figured something out, like most people figured out, because that's why you go to restaurants, everybody takes pictures of food, is people like to look at pictures of yummy food. So we just happen to be in more yummy restaurants than anybody else, right? And now we're up to about almost 70,000 followers.
Boom.
And now we're starting to put video. Have you seen OJ, the editor? His
I
pieces?
love you, OJ. OJ, you are hilarious.
Right, so that's really fun content.
Yeah.
We have an editor at our offices that is really quirky, funny, straight man pieces. And he is hysterical. We started watching him, and he just threw some out around the office, right? In one of our, what are we on? One of those office services everybody's going back and forth on, right? In our
Slack.
office. Thank you, Slack.
Technology.
There we go.
You're welcome.
Sorry. Slack, I almost said Skype. So Slack, we're seeing his videos on Slack, and somebody's like, I think it was me. If it was a brilliant idea, it had to be me. No, I don't think it was me. So somebody was like, we need to put that out there, right? We have the luxury that we've got 100,000 people between Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and our litmus test was everybody in the office that watched this young man, OJ, was laughing, right? Laughing their butt off. So we're like, okay, that's our focus group, right? You know, there's a 50-year-old guy and there's a 20-year-old girl, and everybody thought it was funny, and now he's become kind of a viral sensation.
It's great.
If you will.
Content wins when you can make people, for lack of a better term, feel some kind of way, whether it's emotional or
you know, I've been on radio for 2 decades, over 20 years.
Congrats, don't interrupt, but give a quick shout out to where you are now.
Oh yeah, I'm on mornings, 6 to 9 a.m. now. We just got moved from 9 to noon on 680 The Fan, back to mornings. I said I'd never go back to mornings, but it's a good time to do it.
So congrats.
6 to 9 a.m. Thank you. So, like what you just said, make people feel a certain way. So I can tell you that the worst thing you can say when I used to run a radio station and talk about talent, the worst thing you could say about, like, what'd you think to Tanya? How was she? What do you think of that show? It was okay. Yeah, she's, you know, give me something, right?
Either you loved it or hated it.
Right. Like, if you want to talk about the Sean Hannitys and Don Imus and Howard Sterns and Rush Limbaugh's and Neil Bortz's and, you know, any big-time talk personality, right? They are going to elicit a reaction, right? Much like you said about content.
Right.
You know, I don't think it's the same in the content game that you want to put something out there that people really hate.
No,
but you need to elicit reaction. So my job is to give opinions, strong opinions, right? That I kind of believe, but if I believe it this much, if I get on the radio, then I'm going to say it that much louder. So if you're driving around, you will say, why is Steak saying that?
Right.
I can't believe. I totally agree with him. That's really funny. You know, the last thing you want to be as a radio personality is, okay, he's good enough or average or right. We're not. The world of talk radio is not about, you know, average, right? And listen, do you want to be hated by your listeners? Of course not, right? But I would imagine a lot of people listen to Sean Hannity and get angry and Rush Limbaugh, right? There aren't as many liberal, although there is with MSNBC now, right? Then how many conservatives are watching Rachel Maddow, right, just to get angry with her? So there is an element of that too, is that you want to hear, you know, not middle of the road, right? So why is MSNBC moving ahead of CNN, and why was Fox News ahead? There was no middle of the road. It was very clear what they were doing, and what mattered, like strong opinions, right? Sports Talk Radio has been doing strong opinions since the format started.
They absolutely have. Let's talk about Atlanta and how amazing it is that we can do what we do here in the city. It used to not be that sort of landscape.
Right. Well, it certainly was not. There was not a sophistication level in terms of growing business in young people, right? So I went to college in New Orleans, greatest place to go to school. I went to Tulane University. The big problem with Tulane, right? Why aren't anybody at their games? Why isn't anybody at their football games or basketball games? And, you know, why isn't there more school pride? Because there was no industry in New Orleans. So you graduate, you're a 21-year-old kid, you're from Boston. You're not staying in New Orleans unless you want to be in hospitality. If you don't want to be in hotel or restaurant, right? Fortune 500 companies aren't there, the economy's not there, so people all leave, right? Yeah. So you don't have you know, I went to Georgia, I live in Atlanta, you talk about Georgia on the radio, there's tens of thousands, right? So Atlanta always had been a hotbed for bringing in people from ACC and SEC schools specifically, right? So the Dukes and Carolinas and Clemsons and Virginias, Atlanta was one of the cities, Charlotte, Atlanta, Nashville. Obviously the SEC, we're closest to all those schools, so kids from Florida, kids from Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee. But it's gone to another level, right? Young people drive, I think, the energy of a city. And it's always been a great place to be an entrepreneur. But now there's the tech, really, we were so far behind on that end, right? Lagging way, but you can't be a dynamic city with young people and have a, afterthought as a tech city, right? As a tech startup.
No.
You can't not have incubators in young people, and the folks, thanks to Georgia Tech and thanks to folks like you and the places that you work, have figured out how important that is. It's one of the reasons why we're one of the front runners to get Amazon. We couldn't have been a front runner 15 years ago.
No.
So, I think it all, to me, it all relates back to each other. Atlanta United, 70,000 people. The Beltline, what's happening there, living on the Beltline, living in Midtown, tech startups, the move to an urban setting, the development that's going to be happening downtown. The next great neighborhood of Atlanta is going to be downtown Atlanta. I have no doubt that downtown in the next 10 years is going to be the sexy place. Why? Because you can take public transportation and walk and not have a car and work.
Yeah, if you're an innovator, you already see that. You saw that was happening 5 years ago.
But you're not living that. You're not living downtown.
Not yet.
So like the city is exploding, right?
Yeah, and the Georgia Film Commission, the tax credits, the music industry, everything.
The amount of money pouring in through the Film Commission and through those tax credits and the film industry. And now the downtown and living has to catch up with some of that, right?
Yeah.
Because that hasn't, that's grown certain pockets, especially where they're filming, it's driving those economies. But it's not, listen, I come from a mindset like a lot of people, you have to have a vibrant downtown where people live and work, right? So we have never had that. A vibrant downtown where people live and work. And the Beltline, is that Beltline considered downtown to you, or what's it considered? Inman Park, what's it considered?
I would say Inman Park.
Right.
Ponce Highlands.
Yeah. So it's as close to downtown as we've ever been.
Yes.
But
it's a win.
It's a win, but it's going to be a much bigger win because it's growing.
Yes.
Right? And then downtown's going to be, they're going to start building, the apartments are moving closer and closer down to Phillips Arena and CNET Center in that area in Centennial Park.
It's already happened.
The cranes are everywhere.
Yes, and the gem that is the Flatiron Building even.
Right.
I love that area.
How cool is what's happening there, right? The energy.
It's great.
If we were just young again and we weren't like,
Speak for yourself. No, I'm kidding.
You
You are young.
Why, are you going to move to the Flatiron and just be like a hip chick
Maybe.
and just like...
Maybe. I want a loft just like the next person.
Right,
I want
right.
a loft like Tom Hanks had in Big. And if you don't know that movie,
That's
then
a real
we
problem.
are old.
Then you don't know what great content is.
There you go.
If you don't know what Big is, then you really don't know what great content is.
Yeah, you need to watch it just after this episode.
Right.
Steak, I want to cover a few things.
Yes. We have to.
We have to.
It's so important.
One is for somebody looking to get into the content business, whether it's radio, television, YouTube, whatever. You have a reputation for shooting straight with people.
Right.
Like, how can you help weed out the people that shouldn't do it?
Right. Are you going to bring in some people there? I got to figure out, like, I'm going to weed them out?
No.
Oh, I thought I was going to be like, you have no future in content. Move on. We're not doing that.
No, just a few tips.
Well, first of all, hustle, right? Like, I don't want to get into stereotyping. I will just say that I am surprised when I get 3 emails from a young person, right? Or, when I grew up, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't send a note out and say, let me know if there are any opportunities, please get back. Like,
you went after it.
Right, I was relentless to get after my career. And I would have moved anywhere for it. And you have to be ferocious in going after your dream. And the reality is, people aren't going at it to that level, right? If I get a second, or I'm really busy because I got 3, beautiful kids, and I got a full-time morning show, and I can run a business. And somebody's saying to me, I'd love to talk to you more about picking your brain or something.
Great.
I don't know, unless it's you telling me about somebody I'm not answering right away to say, come in here anytime you want, right? There's a chance that email is gonna go to the bottom, and I may get to it. Now, by the 2nd or 3rd email, I'll just, be like, absolutely, just get in here on a Tuesday. Like, this kid is impressive. This kid is showing me something.
Yeah.
Oh, and listen, would I have time initially? Maybe. But I can tell you that just to push a little harder, work a little harder, if you have a great piece of content, make it under a minute and send it to a lot of people and be like, what do you think of this? Right? What's more fun than watching, somebody have their career start to take off? I remember the first time I ever got a radio gig, right? Or the first time, I got you get a phone call that the Food Network wants you to shoot a pilot. You have that feeling, right? You have that excitement. There are more jobs like that out there than ever. The sports business used to be ESPN and sports talk radio stations, 1 or 2 in a market. Now, every city's got 4 or 5 sports radio stations. Every city has 3 networks, just that, you go to a city like Boston, there's 4 sports networks on television, there's 3 full-time radios, and then there's the University of Texas has their network, and Notre Dame has their network, the Big Ten has their network, AC has their network, SEC has their network, right? And then there's a racing network, there's a college basketball network, there's 5 ESPNs, there's the NBA network, there's the Major League Baseball network. So those are like 100 networks that did not exist 15 years ago.
So the moral of the story is that while the landscape has grown exponentially, so have the opportunities.
No question.
But be relentless.
Yeah, it's a much better time to want to be in production. It's a much better time to want to be in talent. It's a much better time to want to be in sports, right?
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, like I ask people, young people, like, yeah, I just want to be in sports. And it's like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, where?
You know, like how? You want to be with the team? You want to go to sell? Hopefully, I do scare them because that's what I'll say. Especially if someone comes.
Get to the point.
Right. If someone sits in front of me and it's like, you know, it's like, do you want to be an on-air? Do you want to be a writer? Do you want to be a sideline reporter? Do you want to be a talk show? Do you like being a producer?
Do you want to run a Snapchat show? Like,
right. Yeah. Do you want to do something online? Do you want to create something digital? Do you think you have something? Like, what do you think? Because there's a chance, there's a decent chance that you're going to have an opportunity if you truly go after it, right? So, like when I watch somebody go above and beyond, they're standing so far out from what I've noticed at times with millennials in terms of like leaving at 5:15 or 5:30, which wasn't a part of the process when you wanted to thrive, you know, when I was 20, 25 years ago. You see a kid working until 7:30, wanting to do more content, asking if I can help you with updates, seeing if you want to do something on the weekend. Like, it's not that hard. Like, you just push yourself and put yourself out there, right?
I'm so glad you said that. It really isn't that hard. You've just got to...
I can tell you this. It is nothing against millennials because it's not fair to say that they don't work as hard. Well, I can say they don't work as hard, yes. They're certainly as smart, if not smarter. But when we were running 790 The Zone and you walked through our sales office, now it was early 2000s, then 90s, but it was 7 o'clock at night. I mean, that place was packed during the week, right?
Poppin'.
People were hanging.
I was in the office at 7:30,
Right.
and then you go for drinks after
Yes.
True Network to close deals the next day.
No doubt that there was action all the time. When I walk through our offices now at 5:20, there's maybe one person in our office. I can attest to it, so you're not going to change that for the most part. What you are going to do is you have somebody that they don't have that mindset, that just stands out to you. Because I've seen it a lot. Like, you know, my time is my time, which maybe is going to make for a less anxious, more well-balanced, although I don't think they're less anxious, right?
I don't think so.
So, you know, it was very clear line in the sand that, you know, my weekend is my weekend, my night is my night, and my hours are my hours. And I talk to people with companies, you know, 20, 30 times the size of mine. And it was, you need to learn how to adapt to millennials because your way of thinking what hard work looks like those days are over, right?
Well, that's why I love the startup world, because that actually doesn't apply. It's always, all the time, all on.
When you're an entrepreneur, like, there's not and look, our company's great. It's 10, 12 people. We're in the food business. 80% of our folks who want to get together on the weekend, let's talk about usually I have to make sure there's a meal involved, right? Maybe that's why people will come see me on the weekends. So, but if you're at a startup, I mean, if you've got an app, if you've got a concept, I mean, you are living and breathing that in every, orifice of your body, right? It's like, and every minute you're out is a potential networking opportunity, is a potential conversation, right? Is somebody that I gotta figure out how that person can somehow weave me to getting to this, or sometimes it's a direct connect, right?
Yeah.
Or that's somebody that could get me to somebody that I could have a conversation with, right?
Well, it's just, bottom line is life is short. You never know where you're gonna be plucked from the planet, and it's go time. You've gotta make the most of what you have with what you've got and with the time you have here. And so that's why I'm just go.
Listen, I haven't missed one of my kids' games. You know, and granted, I work for myself after the radio station, but if I'm going to be at a game at 5:30 to 7:30 or dinner after, yeah, there's a chance I'm going to be on my computer 10 to midnight, right? That may happen, or I may be up earlier to do it.
Yeah.
You can absolutely, the notion you can't be this ferocious entrepreneur and still have a family, a personal, a work-life balance, it's just not true. It becomes part of you weaving them together, right? So if I get an hour that I'm going to have to, God forbid, sit at luckily my kids don't swim, because that I heard is the worst.
Oh, forget it. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be here for 7 hours, and she's swimming when? She's going to be in heat 32, or she's going to be in heat 96. It's like, God bless Nola, like I go to one of those dance recitals. And I'm excited to see my daughter dance. But there's 90 dances. She's in dance 12, 53, and 71, right? The best thing was I was going to be out of town, so I had the dress rehearsal. Well, guess you were allowed to do in the dress rehearsal? Flip open your laptop and work, waiting for the...
Beautiful.
Right? So, that was great. So I'm not going to miss the dance, but at the same time, I was working throughout it. Maybe that sounds callous. Like, no offense against, little Peggy Sue from Dahlonega, but I don't really care about her dance. I care about my daughter's 3 dances, right?
It's your prerogative.
So now you're finding a way to get work done in between, right? You're finding a way to get work done in between.
Always.
And you still give your daughter the bouquet of flowers when it's over, and you're still there for her, and you're still at all the games. It just may be if you're traveling around that either there's a game at 1 and maybe your kid's playing baseball and the next game's at 6 o'clock and you're in one of those traveling teams. Okay, like you're running around with your buddies, I'm gonna go work for a few hours.
Well, I mean, I shoot straight with Jackson all the time. I'm like, do you want to pay for your college or do you want me to pay for your college?
Right.
If you want me to pay for your college, I can't make the cookie bake sale thing
Right.
where all
Every
the
time.
other parents might be. Every time. I will try, but
Right, you can't
Yeah.
can't be at everything.
no. Do you know you're loved? Yes. Great.
Right.
We're winning.
So you never go to, and you don't go to one bake sale? Are you
I-
O for bake sale? Are you O for
I
a
mean,
bake sale?
I definitely haven't been to one this year.
Wow.
So
Your career is booming though, right?
I am thankful for every day that I am employed and I have a
Right.
paycheck
Aren't
and I
you
have a
gonna be
roof
on-
over my head.
Aren't you going to be on some big national show later today too?
Yeah,
On
yep.
The Doctors?
Yeah, CBS.
How many national brands have you been on? Name them all. You've been on the Today Show?
Today's show.
You've been on Good Morning America?
Yep.
Have you been on The Doctors?
Yep.
Have you been on Dr. Oz?
Not yet. We should make that happen.
I mean,
Mehmet.
I thought I was talking to somebody with a career, like a big career.
Hey,
Have you been-
hey, CBS This Morning,
So all
Steve
3 morning
Harvey.
shows, Steve Harvey.
That was big.
CNN, many times. Fox News?
No.
Uh-huh.
Jenny McCarthy,
Jim McCarthy's radio show?
Sirius XM.
Were you up there doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going back
How
in
great
March.
did she look in person?
I didn't get to meet her in person. She was calling in from LA, I think. But I think I get to meet her in person this next time, so I'm so stoked.
Right, that would be cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you're doing a lot of fun national type stuff. What's the most fun TV show to do of all those?
Atlanta Eats.
Well, that's the right answer.
No, but
Big
seriously,
setup,
it
big
is.
setup.
I
Well,
love.
that's because it's all. I mean, the feature. You're the lead. You're leading that whole feature, right? So it's your energy, right? As opposed to like the Steve Harvey show still being run by Steve Harvey,
He's a character.
right?
He had fun with my name.
Like you talk about audio options, right? You think there's a lot of TV, YouTube content out there. The amount of podcasts.
Oh
and
my
audio
gosh.
make your head explode. Very intimidating. Look, I'm grateful that, the one thing about sports talk radio, right? So the reason why music stations are in huge trouble, right? So your favorite song by Pink that's hot right now that you want to listen to, you used to be like, I'm going to sit and listen to the radio because I'm going to play my 5 favorite
I'm gonna put my
songs.
tape in and like hit
Right.
record
Well, yes,
and then
even
flip
after
it
that,
over.
yes. But there's 10 million places to hear that song, and the easiest is just to go to your phone and go play this song, right?
Or go to your Sonos with Alexa enabled activation, and
Right,
I
so
want
you
to
don't
hear
have to
Pink.
go- you don't have to go like
No, I
this.
don't, not anymore.
How about you just driving? You just say, are you driving? Okay. So, when we talked about this morning on my radio show, right? So we talked about that Georgia Tech is in the middle of a basketball scandal. We talked about Braves and spring training. And we talked about I'm flying out of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport because we're local, right? We're going to be in Atlanta. And we talked about my kid playing, my kid going to Pace Academy. I went to a playoff game. There's nowhere in the universe where that content exists, right? I mean, it's totally unique to Atlanta. It's totally, so which is why if you owned 8 radio stations 20 years ago, a sports station was the last of 8, right?
Interesting.
So all your big signals went to music and top 40 and urban.
Oldies.
Now, if you have a 100,000 watt station, you put sports on it because local's what wins, and there's nothing more local in the world than sports, right? So we used to be on these little dinky like 790 The Zone, really cruddy little signal that if you didn't have the hamsters running really hard, nobody could hear it. Or if the sun, and now you have a 100,000 watt station, it's sports across the board. Why? Because that's local, original content, right? Listening to Pink or Bruno Mars, or insert your jazz or classical format, you can hear that everywhere. Who's listening to the radio specifically to hear one particular? You listen to the radio to hear the Burt Show, or to hear Ryan Cameron, or to hear Scott Slade, or to hear something local,
Right.
Right.
Or a specific genre of music,
But
not
it's-
a specific
But
artist.
you can get that off of
Spotify,
Pandora,
iTunes,
Spotify,
yeah.
right? You just go like this, and you just go, play this You go like, do you just say Alexa into the phone? Or she's over there?
She's over there.
Man, because my kids think it's weird that I'm always like talking right into the phone. I know, it's silly. That means I really don't have it together.
I had a colleague who used
Why am I on a tech show? Like, that's the last place I should be, right?
I had a colleague used to wear his earbuds to talk on the phone, but he would still hold it up. And I'm like, never mind. It's not important. It's great.
That's funny.
Okay, so
Yes.
we're going to close.
What have we learned?
We could talk forever.
Have we learned anything?
But I love Atlanta Eats. Everyone loves Atlanta
Right.
Eats. And there's a lot of people that are like, how can I be a part of it? How can I support it? What can I do? How do I get on it? Like, obviously go to our website.
Right, so.
What is so funny?
So many things I need to promote. I'm getting my promotional. I was talking about this is my second favorite topic. Right?
Okay.
Next, the first favorite topic was myself, which I got to do half an hour. Now I got to go to my second favorite, right? Which is Atlanta Eats. So Atlanta Eats on Instagram, Atlanta Eats TV. We're on 7 days a week on television. Peachtree TV every morning, 9 to 10 a.m., right? And then Saturday nights, 7 o'clock, that's our highest rated show of the week. That's our monster show.
Nice.
And Sunday mornings, right after CBS Sunday morning, I like to say, 10:30 on Peachtree TV also. And then we got Always Great, and a new digital series coming out called
Digital
series starring the lovely young lady to my left. That's going to be called Dishes and coming out. So we'll be promoting it all over our properties.
Good.
To come watch that.
I hope so.
Yeah, just follow us, and I'm at Steak Shapiro.
Good.
At Steak Shapiro.
Steak is awesome on Twitter. Y'all need to follow.
So
and
good.
It is good stuff.
So quippy.
We have used all of the battery and all of the cameras. Our production crew is like, really,
Wrap
guys?
it up. Right.
Steak, I have admired you for a very long time. I'm honored to be able to work with you and create content with you. It's the best content out there, and I'm really thankful, and I'm really excited about what's on the horizon. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was super fun.
Good. Bye.